This is a podcast from The Bugle.
Ladies and gentlemen, gather close to your audio sets, shove your earbuds more firmly into your holes, for today we stand on the precipice of destiny. The clock has struck, the page of the calendar has turned a new year, stretches before us like an uncharted wilderness, wild, untamed, and begging to be conquered in a way that won't age well at all. This is not just a new year, this is your new year. A year for reinvention, for transformation, for rising from the ashes of your former self, like one of those trick birthday candles that are a serious fire hazard because they keep relighting themselves. Shed the baggage of who you were and sprint towards the horizon of who you think without evidence you could be meant to be becoming. Want to start a business? Launch it! Will it fail? Statistically, probably. Want to write a novel? Immediately write 100,000 words. It doesn't matter which words. Will they be good? Who cares? To those who doubt you, who tell you that you're dreaming too big, moving too fast, reaching too far, just tell them this is The Gargle. Welcome to The Gargle, the sonic glossy magazine for The Bugle's audio newspaper for a visual world. All of the news, none of the politics. I am your host, Alice Fraser, and your guest editors for this week's edition of the magazine are James Colley.
Hello.
Hello. I like that you are just over your left shoulder. You are being loomed over by what appears to be a ghostly hat.
Is there? Oh, ooh, I don't care for that at all. That is, do you know what's really odd? That's a mirror behind me, and if I look here, there is absolutely not a hat there.
And Alice Tovey, welcome back.
Hello, it's good to be back. Over my shoulder is my husband's degrees and Iron Man. So, similar stuff's going on here.
Haunted by achievements not your own, as are we all. Before we jump into this week's top stories, let's have a look at the front cover of the magazine. Front cover this week is Zendaya and Tom Holland getting engaged. I don't care if it makes me basic or that I haven't watched any of the recent Spider-Mans or the threesome tennis movie or even Dune 2 because I don't watch anything anymore by virtue of a childcare-induced 9 p.m. bedtime. I am happy for those two crazy kids. They seem nice. I'm also aware that they have large teams of people whose job it is to make me think well of them, but also the video of them doing that lip-sync battle together comes across my feeds occasionally and always makes me smile. So may they have a good marriage, is what I say.
It's so good. I remember once my mum called me. I love Zendaya very much. My mum called me and she's like, have you heard of Zendaya? I think she's going places. And so I think my mum is what really cinched her career.
I'm really glad there was the PR team bit there because that was the least Alice Fraser moment I've ever heard in my life of you being happy for the joy of two celebrities. That wasn't until we got to the PR element of it. I'm like, there we go. That's the Alice I know.
Well, I realise that, the job of a satirist is inherently a cynical one. But, I feel like my work as a whole is all for the uplifting of human joy. And in this instance, again, they seem nice. He can do backflips. She can make anything look good. Imagine their children.
It's actually big for me. My daughter is so obsessed with Spider-Man, and I can tell her Spider-Man's getting married because she asks me all the time, what is Spider-Man doing? What's Spider-Man up to? And it's a question that I am so good at answering. I am uniquely positioned to tell you exactly what Spider-Man is doing at any time, but she doesn't really care about the answers as much as asking the questions. I think Spider-Man's getting married will really stick in her head, though.
The satirical cartoon this week is based on the fact that Orthodox Christianity is experiencing a significant increase in young single male converts in the US who are driven by a desire for structure and authenticity and a more masculine approach to faith. So the satirical cartoon this week is a young man knocking on someone's door saying, "Can I talk to you about the many shining faces of the sun god Amun-Ra? If you're going to go trad, go very trad." That brings us to top story this week, and this is the news that there is trouble in chess paradise. Chess and fashion maven Magnus Carlsen has walked his denim-clad bottom out of the World Championships recently. James, you're a massive nerd. Can you unpack this story for us?
Oh, I can unpack this story so
Here
deeply,
we go.
Alice.
Okay.
You can, just to pull the curtain back a little bit before we even get into this, Alice works in the Question Everything office with me and was, against her will, delivered a blow-by-blow account of all of the recent championship matches in the World Chess Championship. Now, of course...
And it all sunk in. I paid attention to all the words. But no, you go, bud. I'm listening.
Here we are not talking about the chess championships, obviously. We are talking about the big chess controversy, which is that Magnus Carlsen...
How does an Australian ask to pay the bill at a restaurant at the end of the night? Checkmate. All right, carry on.
Hey.
So we're talking about the the big chess controversy this year. Now, obviously, we all know the chess controversy is that Magnus Carlsen agreed to share the Blitz championship with Jan Nepomniachtchi. Shocking controversy. How can there be two champions of the Blitz? Why don't they just play it in an Armageddon style where it goes to a rapid or a bullet format afterwards? And okay, well, if we're not talking about that, maybe we're talking about the other Magnus Carlsen controversy from the Rapid Championship that occurred just before the Blitz Championship, but after the World Championship. I presume that's what you're talking about. So let's get into that. It is day one of the tournament, and Magnus Carlsen loses to 18-year-old Grandmaster Denis Lazarevic, despite playing the Slav defense, which is a positional game and would usually benefit Carlsen.
No. You've misread that. It's denim. It's denim that's the problem now.
Oh,
not Dennis.
you want to talk about what he was wearing. This is so typical of you casuals who only are interested in chess for the raw sex appeal, for the borderline.
Us ladies like the fashion, James. Give us what's best on field.
I am saying this on purpose. The absolute pornographic attire of the modern chess player is none of your business. And I would say that you may say you're interested in chess, but the evidence of that is check it. Now, let's get into this. Magnus was coming from an interview. He forgot to change out of his jeans. He offered to change at the end of the day because he is a king and a king cannot move that quickly. It's one of the rules of chess. They threatened him with a $200 fine, and then he says it became a matter of principle. Now, I cannot
You
tell
want me to change? What am I, a pawn reaching the end of the board?
Do I come into your home and... to be fair, I do that mostly through this show every time I'm on. But I can't tell you how many times I have been playing a game of rapid chess, 15 minutes aside, and someone offers me $200 to take off my chains. Well, actually, I can tell you that. It's 0 times ever. But Magnus Carlsen refused. He said it was a matter of principle. He would not change his jeans, and thus jeansgate began, which is the biggest controversy in world chess since Hans Niemann was jokingly accused of cheating using anal beads. It's very butt obsessed, the chess world right now. I do not know why that is happening, but it is a very... I guess it's the complete utter dominance of bishops, I suppose, is leading this. But anyway, let's not go too deep down that metaphor. But this has become jeansgate. It has become a very big story, despite the fact that he leaves the Rapid tournament, he vacates the championship, someone else wins, he goes on and ties the Blitz championship a couple days later. And there's an even bigger story about what Magnus Carlsen wore, because he got married on the 4th of January this year. He last week got married. And what did he wear? A tuxedo. Big deal. Doesn't really matter. But if you have any other questions about that, you can check the chess.com article that's called "Who is Magnus Carlsen's Bride?" Doesn't mention in the headline that her name is Ella. Ella Victoria Malone, and it asked important questions for the readers of chess.com news, such as, does she play chess? The answer is yes, sometimes. But I am a chess purist. I want to focus on what Magnus is taking on the board. Like when he took money from the Saudi board to be an ambassador for the Esports World Cup as easily as a pawn takes c4 on the Queen's Gambit accepted. There you go, Alice. That one's for you. Except in this case, when the pawn is captured, its passport is confiscated.
I mean, the thing that I first encountered Magnus Carlsen as on a billboard for, I think, a jeans company. So are we sure he's not just
really
doing controversial SponCon? Yeah, I think he was a model for glue.
Yeah, he's been a model for a few of these. He's done tag and glue in a few of these. It is interesting. He is that kind of the most accessible chess player because he's also maybe the best of all time. He's a real grump. A big part of this is the actual reasoning behind this is a principle on the professional standards of chess dress. And while I don't think in individual cases that is important to the playing of the game, it is absolutely super important because can you imagine how chess players would dress for television broadcasts if there were not strict rules? When you follow one of the best players in the world, maybe Magnus's main rival, mostly wears speed dealer sunglasses that look like they belong in the Australian cricket team slips cordon. They're not good dresses. And I say that as not a good dresser. It is a tough world.
It would be that scandal of that. Remember the space scientist, the rocket scientist who did some announcement with the tits shirt. Yeah. No, he had like a Hawaiian shirt, but it was all naked ladies on it.
Oh, that guy rocks. That's my new hero. It was Jeans Man, now it's that guy.
Please don't call Magnus Carlsen Jeansman.
But I read the dress code. I went on the website and looked at the dress code. I encourage everyone to, because it's just a miracle of graphic design. It is fabulous stuff going on. But under where it says jeans are banned, it says jeans are generally not considered business attire. And I'm sorry, but are rodeo clowns not businessmen? Are they not conducting rodeo business? I was deeply offended.
Some of them have a briefcase.
Yes!
I love the world where Alice Tovey thinks, who wears jeans for my comedic premise? Well, probably rodeo clowns. That's the main jeans wearer I think of.
And they're doctors as well. It's a diverse pair of pants for business.
Your ad section now, because you can't be what you can't buy. Gold bullion and erectile dysfunction pills. What does the algorithm know about you that you don't know, you think? And then you find out. Knee deep in the gold fields with a massive 4-hour boner, high on ketamine and 5-hour energy. This is the life for you.
I call that glory hole.
And this episode of the podcast is brought to you by men who say they don't think we should do presents this year. Whether it's the one who's like, what dates are arbitrary? I can get you presents any other time of the year, and then doesn't. Or the one who's like, think of the environment, babe. We don't want to be cluttering up our house with garbage shit, thereby promising you that if you make him buy a present, it will be garbage shit that you have to throw away into the landfill. Please get yourself a man who doesn't think we should give each other presents. The best present. The present that doesn't keep giving.
Alice, can I tell you a story about a man giving a present at Christmas this year for my family?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, so we do.
It's not always men.
It's not always men, but this was a man, and this man is my brother. Where you do evil Santa in my family, like Kris Kringle, where you can steal other gifts if you like them. And like we all bought just normal stuff to the table, like a scented candle, chocolates. My brother bought a 2-kilo tub of protein powder as the gift, and my granddad in his 80s opened it, and then my brother stole it at the end because his justification was I needed to do my grocery shopping, and then he just took it.
That slaps. That's so good.
It's very funny.
We have done crap Kringle for years. That's a regular tradition amongst my friend group. I have various gifts of it all flying around. They're all pretty terrible. I was trying to find one, but it was actually a drawing. A lot of mine are drawings, and this one isn't crap Kringle, but it gives you the tenor of what we're discussing about, which is a personal piece of artwork done by a dear friend of mine. This was actually for my 26th birthday, and it's me being birthed by Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, that's awful. I love it.
And so there's a lot of gifts to that tenor, but the worst of those I have ever received was a random pile crap Kringle, because we were doing it down. It was a house party. We were like, just bring generic presents. We'll put them in a big pile. We'll do a lucky dip. It'll be nice for everyone, whoever turns up. And I got first pick, and I pulled out a copy of my own book signed to my housemate.
Oh, molto bene.
And that brings us to our final ad of this ad section, which is that if you are in London, there will be a launch party for A Passion for Passion on the 5th of February at 8 p.m. You heard it here first. This is the first people I'm telling. 8 p.m. at the Bill Murray. Go get tickets on my website, alicefraser.com. They will be up there. It'll be a launch party. Andy Zaltzman will be there. Various Bugle hosts will be there. It's not going to be the tour show, though the tour show is also something you should buy tickets for. It'll just be a launch party. I will also be in Leicester on the 7th of February, in Bristol on the 9th of February, in Brighton on the 11th of February, in Edinburgh on the 14th of February, in Birmingham on the 17th of February, in Leeds on the 25th of February, and there will be one more London date where I will be doing the actual show, to be announced. Which brings us to my next top story. This is the news that the Bible has been judged too raunchy for a religious school. Alice Tovey, you're too raunchy for a religious school. Can you unpack this story for us?
Damn straight I am. So in Texas, they passed this new law. that was banning just controversial, sexy books. So they banned the Bible in schools, but now it's back. They've put the Bible back. It's a miracle, or like common sense. But either way, I reckon God has something to do with it. And the head of the Texas school, the district, they said that the Bible had to be removed because of this new state law. And one concerned parent, I love this, described the Bible as not only the best-selling book of all time, you can't argue with numbers, but as historically accurate, scientifically sound, and most importantly, life-changing. And boy, it is, because there are loads of life-changing sex positions that you can pick up in the Bible, kids. I mean, give it a read, or non-kids, whoever's reading in libraries, really. So they're fun sex positions like the body of Christ, the passion of Christ, Christ is risen, the second coming, the crucifixion. That one's self-explanatory.
The thing where your wife's behind you and she's a pillar of salt, if you know what I mean.
Well, there's the let my people blow, the three wise men, mounting the cyanide, the reverse good Samaritan, feeding the 5,000 or breeding the 5,000 or 5 loaves, 2 fish. And then there's in the beginning where you separate the light from the darkness and take a rest.
This is so weird. My Pope bobblehead just exploded.
What?
How did that
But it's
happen?
so weird, like not burning, I hope they're not burning the Bible, but banning the Bible because it's too sexy. It's like this conservative Ouroboros, which sounds like a fun religious sex position.
I feel like we have definitely just been banned in a Texas school after that run of jokes.
There's something that might be necessary to clarify here, which is that this is a clever move from a school district superintendent who is protesting against the new law. He would like the banning of the Bible seemed to be well, if you're going to ban books, you know what book contains a lot of material that you wouldn't want shared. And it's actually a very good point to make, because if there's one thing that fundamentalist Americans are good at, it's when you make a clever point about the Bible, they say, all right, well played, I see your point, and I'm going to back down and never challenge this on an intellectual level again. I think that they're very reasonable human beings in Texas, and we will have no further problem for them. But that said, the Bible should be banned from American schools because it is not relevant for American schools. Sure, sometimes it stops a bullet. Useful. But other than that, it has no place in an American school system because, frankly, it's a bit socialist and it's not nearly patriotic enough. Do you know that Christ does not once say the word America in the New Testament? He doesn't say America. He doesn't say football. He doesn't say hot dog or glizzy. He doesn't say fentanyl addiction. He doesn't say Detroit Lions. He's a bloody foreigner, if anything. It sounds like most of the stuff he's talking about isn't American at all. I think Americans should only be reading American books. Also, I am curious as to whether or not the Bible is still the highest selling book, because I think selling is a big, because we all steal them from churches, right? You don't buy a Bible, you steal it from a church, obviously, and then you find out that's wrong and you go back to the church and then you're redeemed and then you still have the book at home, so that's fine. And I just think that Sally Rooney has clocked up a lot of sales in the last couple of years. People they found Intermezzo kind of a bore, but I found it interesting because it was about a guy who's really interested in chess and how everyone wants to have sex with him. I thought that was a fantastic story that more people should be telling. So I think that might be higher selling than the Bible. And I say that with no evidence, but a lot of faith.
And that brings us to our reviews section. As you know, each week we ask our guest editors to bring in something to review out of 5 stars. Alice, Tovey, what have you brought in for us to review?
Yes, I wrote this review before I realized I was going to be on with my workplace bully. So let's get earnest on here for a sec. So last year I was diagnosed with OCD and ADHD. So I've got double Ds. They're the only double Ds I'm ever going to have. And it cost a bit of money to get the diagnosis, but I think I could have saved a lot of time if I just showed them my Spotify Wrapped for 2024. Like, this is a little highlights reel that I'm going to give you, and I want you to diagnose whatever's wrong with me at the end of this. So we've got Espresso, Sabrina Carpenter, Hot to Go, Chapel Roan. That Thing You Do from the film That Thing You Do. Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar, Soul Bossa Nova, Joyride by Kesha, Zombie Jamboree, Harry Belafonte. Silver Springs, Fleetwood Mac, Gonna Make You Sweat, CC Music Factory, I Make Hamburgers, The Whitlams, Strangers Like Me, Phil Collins for the Disney film Tarzan, Hip to Be Square, Huey Lewis and the News, Get Busy, Sean Paul, a 15-minute experimental organ piece, and then Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. So my Spotify Wrapped, a 1-star listening experience for the mentally healthy, but a 4-star diagnostic tool for physicians.
James, what have you brought in to review for us?
Actually, weirdly, I brought in Alice's Spotify Wrapped. I thought to get the ball rolling on a new year, I thought let's roll a ball. So I am reviewing Sisyphean tasks. Now, I didn't want to just imagine Sisyphus happy.
Again?
I don't like being told what to do. So I took on the Sisyphean task. Here's how it went. Day 1, ups and downs. Day 2 had its ups and downs. I will have to say the job security is nice. You don't take your work home with you. That's pretty good. Day 3, ups and downs. Though the bit where it rolls back down the hill is kind of fun. And I think if you imagine Sisyphus at that point, he would be happy and maybe making this noise. Day 4, ups and downs. Did start to wonder if there was any point to my work. Got a little existential about it, roll a rock up, it rolls back down, do it again tomorrow. But then again, my job before this was trying to add joy to a world that piles fresh misery every day, so same old, same old. Day 5, Friday, went for a drink with the other Sisyphean task doers. We're thinking of starting a band, and you'll never guess what genre we play. That's right. Contemporary jazz. All in all, Sisyphean tasks, 3 stars.
A very music-heavy review section. What a delight. And that brings me to what horrible things did we do to our penises last year news now. A favourite section of the Gargle. I think last year we did what horrible things did we put up our butts, but this year it's what did we do to our penises? This is a question, Colley, that confronts you every morning. What horrible things did we do to our penises last year?
Personally?
No, just the story.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, yes.
Your penis is not our penis. It's not like it's one's penis like the Queen's English and we all share the communal penis.
I thought it was collective.
I don't know how I feel about... the way I feel about penises is from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs.
Exactly. I have a royal penis. It's why I take a morning royal wee. First off, more than anything, I am annoyed at being left off at another end of year list. And it's so political, you do all that you can, and then it's all about who your publicist can contact, who actually makes the list at the end, who they think has heat. It made me so mad. I took my laptop and I shoved it square up my penis. So fingers crossed for next year's list. I don't think we can have more fun with this than just bulleting through a bunch of examples, because it sounds like an adults-only Wile E. Coyote calamity list, like let's call it Chode Runner, and we're going to run... I'm just going to give you just a bunch of these. Closed penis in refrigerator door. Was working on his deck, stepped on a loose board and it shot up and struck him on the scrotum. Was holding a dog leash that retracted and the hard putt struck him in the testicle. Using wheelbarrow when trying to dump it out, it tipped over and hit him in the scrotum. Put his wedding ring around the shaft of his penis. Now he cannot get it off. Also,
it's called commitment.
Cut the tip of his penis on a urinal. All right, Deschamps. Pain to testicles when hitting self with dustpan. Was bathing when the soap slipped from his hand and hit him in the testicles. Diving into a pool. The testicles hit the diving board. Jesus Christ, that's so funny. Was cleaning hedgehog's cage and began experiencing testicular pain. Now, those things aren't necessarily related, but I did watch Sonic 3 this week, and I think they are related, and I think this happened to James Marsden. Playing with a ball and his dog, and the dog was trying to bite the ball and bit his penis. Putting a towel bar at home and the drill he was using hit his penis. Was masturbating when he fell off the bed while masturbating and landed on his penis. I would like to pause there to celebrate the only honest person on this list. Everyone else is lying. The person who was jerking it so hard they fell onto their dick is telling the truth and might just be the next George Washington who cannot tell a lie.
Do you reckon he fell on the floor and balanced on his penis, or it went through the floor and caused a hole? That's what I'm wondering.
I think he spun like a play top for a while. Like he just went woo, and then drilled into the floor a bit, like when an IKEA screw. Fell down 14 steps and hit head, also with irritation to the penis. Feels like we're burying the lead. I don't think... Got kicked in the groin during a pillow fight. Cheating. I don't think that's allowed during a pillow fight. Playing basketball when he attempted to dunk and straddled the basket pole might be the funniest thing that has ever happened to anyone ever. Imagine watching a human being try and dunk, and they end up hitting the post behind the backboard and hitting it dick first and dropping. That's so funny. Let's not try and be above this. That's so funny. I want to spend the rest of the show reading all these out, but I'm sure other people have other things they would like to say. But mostly, I would like to say, struck himself in testicles with a video game controller, added gasoline to a brush fire, burns to scrotum, riding an electric unicycle and fell, and the tire made contact with his penis. That one's fine. If you own an electric unicycle, you are not using that penis anyway. It is okay.
I think my favorites were was wearing tight pants yesterday and positioned his penis in an unusual way. Tied a cotton rope around his penis 2 days ago in order to, quote, prove a point, end quote.
And he did.
Tripped over a large dog and a small dog stepped on his testicles. And last but not least, slipped on dock trying to exit boat, had about 6 beers, fell face first in water, had gun in pants pocket that fired gunshot wound to penis.
It's unique reading these because it's so funny and I feel the pain of every single one of them. It's the one bit of empathy I have in my life, and I read stories like this, God, that would hurt so. And also, as the owner of a toddler, I am regularly succumbed to fun and interesting ways to be hit in the groin, which happens with alarming regularity. I feel like that should be
an
the start of
evolutionary strategy, James.
Yeah, just clear the decks.
I remember my nephew, when he was 2 years old, was showering with my brother-in-law, his father, and he just turned to his dad as loud as he could, just yelled, "Dick punch!" and punched him in the dick as hard as he could, and no one can prove that I told him to do that.
What a delight. I've used that to balance out this last story, which is wildly depressing, which is the news that an app called Fable has scrapped a feature after its AI insulted readers using bigoted and racist put-downs. Alice Tovey, you can read. Unpack this story for us.
You can't prove that. So, generative AI again is fabulous. It's continued to scrape the bunions off the souls of human existence and repackage it to us as creativity. So this is for a reading app. They were doing a Wrapped of the year. Look, enough. I don't want any more Wrappeds. I don't need every app to have a Wrapped. I am not a leftover rotisserie chicken. I do not need my bits and pieces all wrapped up. But I think that we've reached the zenith of what AI can provide us, in that we've now got a robot that negs you. For example, it described one reader as a diversity devotee, and in their Wrapped said, it asked them rather, ever in the mood for a straight cis white man's perspective? I'll answer, no, never, nope, no thank you. I read one book by a cis straight white man last year, and he is on this call.
That is also how I started every single meeting in our job, was coming here. Hi, diversity devotees. Want to hear a cis white man's opinion? Well, you're contracted to. Let's go.
Well, basically, this is one of the features or bugs or buggy features of modern large language learning models of AI, which is that they scrape the internet for their language and turns of phrase and opinions. And it turns out that on the internet are a lot of horrendous shit.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the same point here, Alice, which is that this is disgusting, because what really upsets me about this is, once again, we're seeing AI take a job away from people like me. It is my job to say hateful and bigoted things to other people in a book club. That's the point of going to a book club, to say insulting
not
things.
just a book club. You'll do it on a podcast, in a workplace, texting me at all hours of the night.
That's fair. I think the part of this that really amuses me, and a lot of it does, part of it that really amuses me is the suggestion of trying a white author, because that's such a funny suggestion to give someone in general. It's like finding out someone's into music and being like, have you heard of the Beatles? You should try the Beatles. Or oh, you're enjoying Severance Season 2, are you? You know what? Check out The Simpsons. You know that main thing that's been promoted for 30 years to everyone ever? You should check that out. It's so good. It's it puts you in the mind of a modern Hemingway that goes, for sale, white author, never read. It's still, it's really not, it's such, you have to hit such a weird niche. And it's not to say that these rap things, when you're in the book world, you see a lot of people's versions of them, and some of them are deserving of mocking. It is okay for that to be a thing. I had one that was someone who very lovely read my book, shared it, that they had read it, and it was in a month of the other books they have read. And the previous books, the week before mine, was a trilogy where the coronavirus was made into a human and another character had sex with the coronavirus, which was a love story. It wasn't about how the coronavirus spread, which felt like a real lack of plot imagination, but it was
it was about how the coronavirus spread, if you know what I mean.
Hey, excuse me, I do know what you mean, and that is disgusting, and you are being banned by the Texas school board as we speak. There is one book club I have been a part of that I enjoy. Most of my book clubs stop very early. Because they're mostly about people who read 2 books and then share bad writing from authors we all mutually know, which is a fantastic book club, and you really enjoy it, but you can't meet up in a bar for it or it becomes kind of stalkery. So they end pretty soon. The only one that I have consistently gone to that has kept going and going and going is the Celebrity Memoir Book Club that I've been invited to, and fantastic because you get through like Pamela Anderson's and I would say as well, great biography, very smart, except for the part where she tries to claim that she has memorized Hamlet's to be or not to be soliloquy and then types it in a book to prove that point, which doesn't really function for what you want it to do, but I understand the sentiment behind it.
I mean, it will work if it's a gullible person listening to an audiobook.
Should we get some like pre-recorded like hatred out for your book launch, Alice? Like you're about to bring out a book. We need to say some bigoted and hurtful things about the people who are going to read it.
Oh yes, what does reading my book say about you that you don't want said about you in your workplace?
I would say
in a workplace.
Incredibly horny, but in an ironically detached way. Like you have ironically detached your own genitals from your body. You can put that on the cover.
And I'll keep it Reddity for mine. Just like, oh, you read books of a woman. Yuck. Gross. Ugh. And then just, emojis. There we go. Done. I'm a man now.
Have you thought about listening to the opinions of a cis white man on romance?
If you have, The Next Big Thing by James Colley is...
It's an excellent book. 5 stars. Go find it. Go get it. And that brings me to the end of this week's episode of The Gargle. I'm flipping through the ad section at the back. Alice, have you got anything to plug?
Yes, I'll be doing a new show at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival called Glass Houses. That is on sale right now. I'm also going to be doing a kids show at the festival, which hasn't been announced yet, but if you follow me on social media and you have kids, come on down to that too. That would be really lovely.
Excellent. What age range of kids?
I say 6 to 12, but as long as if they like the words poo, wee, fart, then we're on board. We're going to be in
3 to 12.
We're going to have good times.
How we have fallen since the days of Enid Blyton. James Colley, have you got anything to plug?
Are you telling me Moonface didn't fart, Alice? Grow up.
Well, I've already plugged The Next Big Thing. If you are watching this on the YouTube, you might see this fun mug that is The Next Big Thing. If you would like to purchase that, you actually can't. This was just made for me by a friend. But you can buy that book somehow. And you can also watch Question Everything that Alice and I both work on ABC iView, also Gruen. You can't watch those if you aren't in Australia. And we all know there is no way of accessing media in the modern world unless you are geolocated in the specific area that it is available. So give up, I say. Don't even bother finding this hilarious show that is all around TikTok and YouTube and probably every torrent site.
And you can find me online at patreon.com/Alice Fraser. It's a one-stop shop for all of my stand-up specials, podcast blogs, as well as my twice-weekly writers' meetings, my weekly salons, and now the expression of interest form for a writers' retreat in the Swiss Alps in the first 2 weeks of September.
Ooh la la!
We're hoping to run 2 of them this year in the first week of September and the second week of September. So if you go over to patreon.com/Alice Fraser, you can express your interest in such a thing. And I'll see you in Switzerland. This is a Bugle podcast and Alice Fraser production. Your editor is Ped Hunter. Executive producer is Chris Skinner. I'll talk to you again next week.
You can listen to other programmes from The Bugle, including The Bugle, Catharsis, Tiny Revolutions, Top Stories, and The Gargle, wherever you find your podcasts.